I used to believe my heart was safe, that if I buried it deep enough, no one could reach it. But that night, in the woods, under a sky too dark for stars, I learned the truth. Some hearts are never safe. Some are already spoken for, even by creatures you shouldn't love. The storm had rolled in fast, swallowing the moon, smothering the path with shadows. I was driving home from my late shift at the library, the only light in the world, the weak glow of my headlights against the rain. Then the engine died. Just like that. No sputter, no warning, only silence. My hands tightened on the wheel as the car drifted to the side of the road, hissing steam like a wounded animal. That's when I heard it, the howl. Low, long, and aching. It wasn't the sound of a coyote or dog. No, this was something older. Something that rattled against my ribs and told me to run. But running would mean stepping out into the rain-soaked woods alone. And every instinct in me screamed not to. Still, the road was empty, and I couldn't stay in a dead car all night. I pulled my coat tighter and pushed the door open. The storm slapped me across the face, and I staggered forward, my boots sinking into the mud. The air was thick, charged like a storm inside a storm. I told myself I was imagining the footsteps, that the crunch of leaves behind me was only the wind. But when I spun around, I saw him at first. All I could make out was a shape, broad shoulders, tall, unmoving at the edge of the trees. Lightning cracked across the sky, and in that blinding flash, I saw his eyes. Not human eyes. They glowed faintly, gold against the darkness, locked on me with an intensity that pinned me where I stood. I should have screamed, should have run, but instead I whispered, "Who's there?" My voice barely carried over the rain. He stepped forward, slow, deliberate, like a predator who already knew his prey wouldn't escape. And yet his presence didn't send terror flooding through me. It sent heat. A dangerous kind of pull I couldn't explain. His clothes were soaked through, his dark hair plastered to his face. But nothing could dull the sharpness of his jaw. The wildness etched into his every line. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice deep and rough, as if unused to speaking. I swallowed hard. "Neither should you." Something flickered across his expression, surprise, maybe even amusement. He closed the distance between us in 2 long strides, stopping just close enough for me to see the rain dripping from his lashes. My heart pounded so hard I swore he could hear it. "You're shaking," he murmured. Not accusing, not mocking, almost concerned. The truth was, I wasn't sure if I was trembling from the cold door from him. My car broke down," I stammered. I was just trying to. Another howl tore through the night. Louder this time, closer. The sound made my blood run cold. His head snapped toward the trees, his entire body tensing like a bowstring drawn too tight. He turned back to me then, and in his eyes I saw something primal, something both protective and dangerous. "Stay behind me," he ordered. I didn't move. "Couldn't? What is it?" I whispered. He didn't answer, but his hands curled into fists, and for a moment I swore I saw something ripple beneath his skin. Like his body wasn't entirely his. Like he was holding something back. The forest exploded with movement, shadows rushing between the trees, snarls cutting through the storm. I gasped and stumbled backward, but he was faster. He stepped in front of me, broad shoulders shielding me completely. And then it happened. Right before my eyes, in the pouring rain, his form shifted. Bones cracked, muscles stretched, skin rippled and tore until the man who had stood there seconds before was gone. In his place was a beast, massive. Fur bristling, black fangs, bared golden eyes blazing with fury. The world tilted. My breath caught in my throat. He wasn't human. He wasn't even close. And yet when he glanced back at me, just for a heartbeat, I saw him. The man. The stranger who had stepped out of the shadows to protect me. I should have run. Every instinct screamed for it. But I couldn't. Because for reasons I didn't understand, I knew he wasn't going to let the monsters in the dark have me. He was going to fight them all. For me, and that's when the truth sank in. Chilling and undeniable. The most dangerous creature in those woods was also the one I couldn't look away from. The night split open around us. The beast that had been a man, my stranger with golden eyes, lunged at the shadows charging from the trees. I barely had time to register the blur of fur and teeth before the first creature struck. Their snarl was not wolf, not dog, not anything I had ever known. They were twisted wrong, moving like nightmares given flesh. But he was fury itself. He met them with a roar that shook the storm. Lightning flashed, and in that violent light I saw him fight. His massive body collided with theirs, claws slicing through wet air, fangs sinking deep. Mud flew, the smell of blood mixing with rain until my lungs burned from it. I pressed my back against the wreck of my car, heart hammering, too stunned to breathe, too terrified to look away. And then silence. I don't remember when the storm softened. I only remember the sound of something snapping, the weight of a body hitting the ground, and then him rising, his chest heaving, his dark coat matted with rain and blood, his golden eyes still burning like embers through the night. He turned toward me, and my body froze. Not with fear, at least, not the kind that makes you want to run. This was something else. Something sharper, deeper, in a ripple of motion. His form twisted again, bones cracking, muscles folding, until the beast melted away and the man stood before me once more. He was bare, the rain slick across his skin, every muscle etched like stone. But it was his eyes that undid me. They hadn't lost their glow. They still burned, soft and dangerous all at once, like fire tamed only for me. "You saw," he said hoarsely. Voice like gravel dragged over silk. I nodded. My throat's too dry to speak. "You should run from me now." But I didn't. My boots stayed rooted in the mud, hands shaking at my sides. "You saved me." He flinched at that, as if the word saved was one he didn't deserve. "They weren't coming for you," he muttered, turning away, his broad shoulders tense. "They were coming for me. You just happened to be in their path." Something in me wanted to believe that. It would be easier. But deep down, I knew it wasn't true. They would have torn me apart if he hadn't stepped in. "Why are they after you?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he raked a hand through his dripping hair, his chest rising and falling with a heaviness that made my own lungs ache. When he finally spoke, his voice was lower, edged with warning. "Because I don't belong to them anymore." The words chilled me even more than the rain. He turned then, his gaze locking on mine, fierce and unrelenting. "You don't understand what I am," he said. "What I could do to you." But I met his stare, pulse wild, and whispered, "Then explain it." For the first time, his expression broke. Not anger. Not coldness. Something almost like pain. He stepped closer, each stride slow, measured, as if he was holding himself back from something dangerous. By the time he stopped, we were only a breath apart. I could feel the heat of him, even through the storm. "My name is Lucian," he said finally, "and I am cursed. Born of blood, bound by the moon, hunted by my own kind. I don't save people. I destroy them." The way he said "itro final," like a confession should have sent me fleeing. But it didn't, because in his eyes, behind the storm and the shadows, I saw something else. Something human. Something he was trying desperately to bury. "Then why didn't you destroy me?" I asked softly. His jaw tightened. "Because the moment I saw you, I couldn't." The air between us cracked like lightning. My breath caught, my pulse hammering against my ribs. Every part of me screamed that this was wrong, that he was danger, forbidden, a secret meant to stay hidden in the woods. And yet my body betrayed me. I leaned closer, not away, drawn to him like the tide to the moon. He closed his eyes as if fighting some war inside himself. When he opened them again, his voice was ragged. "Go home, before I regret what I'll do if you stay." But I couldn't move. Not with the storm still raging, not with the heat of his nearness anchoring me. My lips parted, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm not afraid of you." That was a lie. I was terrified. But fear wasn't the strongest thing inside me anymore. His eyes darkened. For a moment I thought he might close the distance completely. His hand even lifted, trembling in the air between us as if he wanted to touch me but couldn't. The muscles in his arms shook from restraint. Then, the guttural sound, he tore himself away. He turned, grabbed what looked like a shredded jacket from the mud, and vanished into the trees as if the storm had swallowed him whole. I stood there, drenched, trembling, and aching in ways I couldn't understand. The road was empty again. But my world WASN single quotes because now I knew his name. Lucian. The cursed stranger with golden eyes, who had just saved my life and set my soul on fire. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, Lucian, his body caught between man and beast, his golden eyes burning through the rain, his voice breaking when he told me he was cursed. By morning, I told myself I should forget him. Pretend it never happened. That's what sane people do when monsters crawl out of the night. But the lie burned in my chest. Forgetting him wasn't possible. Not after he had looked at me like that, like saving me had cost him more than blood. I went back to the woods. The storm had cleared, but the forest still dripped with last night's rain, heavy and quiet in a way that felt unnatural. I followed the path past the place where my car had died, deeper into the trees until I found it, a cabin. Old, weathered, its roof sagging, windows boarded. It shouldn't have been standing, but smoke curled from a crooked chimney, and I knew he was inside. I knocked once. My hand shook, not from fear, but from something far more dangerous need. The door swung open before my knuckles touched the wood again. Lucian stood there, his eyes wide with something between shock and anger. "You shouldn't be here," he growled, every word dragging like a chain. "Then tell me why I shouldn't," I shot back. His jaw clenched. He tried to close the door, but I slipped inside, my heart pounding, the air thick with the smell of smoke and something darker like iron and earth. The cabin was bare, shadows crawling in the corners, a single fire casting light across the scars that marred his chest. I turned to him, refusing to back down. "Last night wasn't an accident. You could have let those things kill me. But you didn't. Why?" He moved closer, the firelight flickering across his face, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim. "Because you don't know what they wanted." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" His gaze locked on mine, unblinking. "They weren't after me. They were after you." The words punched the air from my lungs. I laughed, sharp and disbelieving, but it sounded hollow even to me. "Me? That's insane. I don't even know what they were." "They know your blood," he said, his voice low, grave. "And they'll keep coming until they have it." A chill spread through me, deeper than fear. "What's in my blood?" He stepped closer, so close I could feel the heat of his body. His hand lifted, hovering just above my arm, trembling, as if even touching me might unravel him. "You're not just human," he whispered. The room tilted. I staggered back, my heart beat thunder in my ears. "That's impossible." But something in his eyes told me it wasn't, and worse, I felt it. A shiver under my skin, a truth I had always ignored. The way my dreams sometimes bled into reality. The whispers I heard in storms, the way animals froze when I walked past. I had always thought it was imagination. But what if it wasn't? I shook my head, backing toward the door. "No, you're lying. This is some twisted way of scaring me off." Lucian's face twisted raw with frustration. "If I wanted you gone, I would have let them take you. You think I want this?" His voice cracked, firelight catching the torment in his eyes. "Do you think I want you?" The words stopped me cold. For a moment, silence stretched between us, heavy and trembling. His chest rose and fell hard, his fists shaking at his sides. I felt it tooth a pull between us, stronger than fear, stronger than reason. It was dangerous, forbidden, and I couldn't step away. I took a slow breath. "Then what happens if I stay?" His eyes darkened and the air thickened, heat rolling between us like fire waiting for a spark. He closed the distance in 2 strides, caging me against the cabin wall, his hands braced on either side of my head. He didn't touch me, God. He didn't have to. The heat of him set my skin ablaze. "You stay," he said, his voice low, ragged, and I won't be able to let you go. Not when every part of me is built to claim you. Even if it destroys you. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. The space between us was a razor's edge, one lean, one breath, and it would be gone. I should have run. I should have screamed. Instead, I whispered the only truth I could find, then let it destroy me. His eyes burned with something feral, its breath hot against my lips. His hands trembled, 1 inch from my skin. Fighting some war I couldn't see Dot, and then, just as his restraint began to crack, the cabin shook. A howl split the night, so close it rattled the windows. Shadows moved outside, circling. Lucian tore away from me, fury flashing across his face. "They've found you." Before I could breathe, the door splintered under a heavy strike. The monsters weren't coming for him anymore. They were coming for me. The door crashed inward, splinters flying like daggers. I stumbled back as shadows poured into the cabin, their bodies twisted and snarling, eyes glinting like shards of ice. The air turned suffocating, heavy with the stink of iron and smoke. Lucian moved before I could blink. One moment he was a man, the next a blur of muscle and fur, claws flashing in the firelight. His roar shook the beams overhead as he tore into the first creature. Blood sprayed across the floor, the stench so sharp I gagged. But I couldn't look away. I pressed against the wall, heart pounding so violently it hurt. There were too many. 5, 6, maybe more. They circled, darting at him from every angle. And through the chaos, I realized one wasn't attacking at all. It was standing in the shadows, staring straight at me, and then it spoke. She doesn't even know, does she? The voice was low, mocking, human-shaped but warped. My stomach dropped. Lucian froze mid-strike, his claws buried in one beast's chest. His head whipped toward me, golden eyes wide with fury. "Don't listen to them," he growled, ripping his claws free. But it was too late. The creature stepped closer, its face half wolf, half man, its grin sharp enough to bleed. "Tell her, Lucian," it sneered. "Tell her why her blood burns like fire in our mouths. Tell her what she really is." My throat closed. I turned to Lucian, desperate, but his face said everything. He wasn't shocked. He wasn't confused. He already knew. "What are they talking about?" My voice broke sharp with panic. Lucian's jaw tightened. "Not now." "Now," I hissed, my fear cracking into rage. The creature laughed, circling closer. "You think he's your savior? He's your jailer. He's been hiding you, keeping you ignorant. But your blood doesn't belong to you, girl. It belongs to us. Enough." Lucian's roar shook the cabin, his claws slicing through the speaker before it could say more. It crumpled to the ground, twitching, lifeless. But the damage was done. My chest heaved, the firelight flickering wildly across Lucian's blood-stained face. "You knew," I whispered. "You knew something about me all along." He turned, his golden eyes blazing not with anger, but desperation. "I was trying to protect you." The remaining creatures snarled, circling tighter, but I couldn't hear them over the rush in my ears. Betrayal cut deeper than any claw. "Protect me." My voice cracked. "Or keep me for yourself." The words hit him like a blow. For the first time since I'd met him, Lucian faltered. His shoulders sagged, his beast's fury dimming. "I never wanted this," he said hoarsely. "But the moment I saw you, I couldn't let them take you. Not them. Not anyone." Before I could answer, another creature lunged. I screamed, but Lucian caught it midair, his claws tearing it apart. Blood sprayed across the floorboards, spattering my boots. The fight was chaos, snarls, screams, the crack of bones. And then silence. The last body fell. The only sound left was my ragged breathing and the pounding of rain against the broken door. Lucian stood in the center of it all, chest heaving, drenched in blood and storm water. His gaze found mine, raw and burning, like nothing else in the world existed but us. And then, before I could think, he crossed the space between us. His hand cupped my jaw, rough and trembling. His mouth hovered over mine, his breath warm, wild, desperate. "I can't stop this," he whispered, "even if it damns us both." And then his lips crashed against mine. It wasn't gentle. It was fire, fierce and consuming, every ounce of restraint he'd held shattering in that instant. I gasped against him, my hands clutching his chest, feeling the rapid thunder of his heart. His mouth claimed mine like he was starving, and I let him because I was starving too. For him, for this, the world dissolved, blood, betrayal, fear, none of it mattered. Only his hands on my skin, his body pressed against mine. The heat of him burning through the storm when he finally pulled back, his forehead rested against mine, his breath ragged. "You should hate me," he said. "But God's help me, I'd burn the world before I let you go." I trembled, torn between fury and need, betrayal and desire. My lips parted, but no words came. Because deep down, I already knew I could never hate him. Not when my soul was already tangled in his. A sharp crack shattered the moment. The window exploded inward, shards raining across the floor. I screamed as a new figure stepped through the broken frame taller. Darker, its eyes blazing crimson instead of gold. Lucien's body stiffened. His hand dropped from my cheek, his voice low with dread. "It's him. Who?" I whispered, my heart slamming against my ribs. The stranger's smile was cold, cruel. Her true master, the cabin's fire, guttered. And the air turned to ice. Everything I thought I knew about myself, about Lucian, about the night he found me collapsed in that instant. The air froze the moment the crimson-eyed stranger stepped through the shattered window. His presence was heavier than the storm outside, darker than the shadows clinging to the cabin walls. My lungs refused to work. I felt like prey caught in the gaze of a predator that had already decided how I would die. Lucien moved instantly, placing himself between me and the intruder, his body rigid, every muscle coiled to strike. His claws extended, his chest heaving with fury. But even without touching me, I could feel it the way this stranger's gaze pulled at something inside me. Something I didn't understand but couldn't deny. "You feel it too," he said softly, his voice like silk dipped in poison. "The fire in your veins, the truth you've been running from. Do you want to know why your blood sings to us, little one?" "Don't listen to him," Lucian snarled. "He'll twist every truth until it breaks you." But my body trembled with a hunger I didn't recognize. I couldn't look away. "Tell me," I whispered. The stranger smiled. "Because you're not human. You never were. You're the last of the line they swore to erase. Half light, half darkness. Born to rule us or to destroy us." His eyes glittered. "Your blood is prophecy." The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Half light, half darkness. Me? No, impossible. But the storm of denial crumbled when I saw Lucian's face. He didn't deny it. He already knew. "You lied to me," I breathed, my voice breaking. Lucian spun toward me, desperation burning in his golden eyes. "I didn't lie, hid it. To protect you? If they knew what you were, they already know." I shouted, the betrayal slicing deeper than any claw. "And now I do too." The crimson-eyed stranger's laugh was cold. "See how icily he keeps her in chains? He'd rather cage you with half-truths than let you burn with what you are." His gaze flicked to Lucian, sharp and taunting. "No wonder you want her. Even your cursed blood can sense her power." Lucian roared, leaping forward, but the stranger was faster. With a blur of movement, he slammed Lucian into the wall, the wood cracking beneath the force. Lucian's cry of pain tore through me. "Stop!" I screamed, rushing forward. My body acted before my mind could. I threw myself between them, my hands raised as if I could stop a monster with nothing but flesh and will dot. And then something inside me broke open. Light erupted from my skin, searing and wild, filling the cabin with blinding fire. The stranger recoiled, hissing, his crimson eyes narrowing as smoke rose from his flesh. Lucian shielded his face with his arm, but when the blaze dimmed, his golden eyes locked on me in shock. "What? What did I just do?" My voice shook. My hand still glowed faintly, heat humming beneath my skin. The crimson-eyed stranger's grin widened. Exactly what you were meant to. Power that can burn even us. But it won't last, not unless you come with me. No, Lucian growled, pushing himself upright despite the blood dripping down his side. She's not yours. The stranger tilted his head. And she's not yours either. His eyes returned to me, softer now, coaxing. But you could be free with me. No chains, no secrets. You wouldn't have to fear hurting him. You wouldn't have to fear yourself. My heart split in two. His words slithered into the cracks of my doubts, feeding every fear Lucian had buried. What if he was right? What if staying with Lucian meant losing myself completely? Lucian stepped forward, his body shaking, his voice raw. Don't believe him. He doesn't want your freedom. He wants your power. You are more than prophecy. You are. His voice caught, and for the first time I saw tears in his burning eyes. You are the only thing that's ever made me feel human again. The storm inside me reached its breaking point. One choice would damn me. The other would damn him. I looked at the crimson-eyed stranger. I looked at Lucian. My chest burned with love, fury, and terror all at once. And then I made the only choice my heart allowed. I turned and pressed my glowing hand against the stranger's chest. Light exploded. His scream ripped through the cabin as fire poured from my skin into his body, burning him from the inside out. He staggered, his crimson eyes wide with shock and rage. Before collapsing in a heap of ash and smoke. Silence. I crumpled to my knees, my body trembling, drained, hollow. My hands still glowed faintly, but I no longer had the strength to lift them. Lucian was there in an instant, catching me, holding me against his chest. His body was warm despite the blood, his arms shaking as they wrapped around me. You shouldn't have done that, he whispered, his voice breaking. You've tied yourself to me now. To all of this, there's no going back. My tears burned as they fell against his skin. I know, I whispered, and I don't care. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. His heartbeat thundered beneath my cheek, fast and frantic, as if he was afraid I might vanish. Finally, he lifted my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. There was no beast in them now, no fury, only raw, unshakable devotion. Then whatever comes, he said, his voice low and fierce. We face it together. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to fall into that promise and never let go. But in the silence that followed, one truth echoed through me. Killing the crimson-eyed stranger had changed something. Not just in me. In the world around us, and the price of my choice had only begun to show itself. The cabin smelled of smoke and blood. The ashes of the crimson-eyed stranger still smoldered on the floor. And yet the silence felt louder than the storm that had raged outside. My body trembled in Lucian's arms, drained of light, drained of certainty. I had chosen him, chosen love, chosen to burn the darkness that wanted me. But in doing so, I had set fire to something inside myself that would never be undone. Lucian brushed a strand of damp hair from my face, his golden eyes searching mine with desperation. You gave too much, he whispered, his voice breaking. You've bound your life to mine. If I fall, you fall with me. I know my voice was a rasp, but it was steady. And I'd rather fall with you than live in chains without you. For a moment, he just stared at me as if I had spoken madness. Then slowly, painfully, he closed his eyes and pressed his forehead to mine. His breath shook against my lips. You don't understand? You've chosen a curse that will never let you go. I lifted my trembling hand to his cheek, feeling the heat of him, the beast barely contained beneath his skin. Then let the curse try. Because I'm not afraid anymore. The storm outside began to calm, as if the world itself was holding its breath. But inside me, the storm only grew. My blood hummed with fire, the echo of power I had unleashed, refusing to fade. I could feel it in every heartbeat, a pulse that connected me to Lucian now in ways both terrifying and intoxicating. He must have felt it too, because his hand gripped mine tightly, almost in fear. You are not the same as you were an hour ago. You're more. And the others. They'll come for you. The thought sent a shiver down my spine, but I refused to let fear win again. Then let them come. We'll face them together. His lips curved in something between a smile and a sob. And for the first time, I saw something break inside him, something heavy he had carried alone for far too long. He kissed me then, fiercely, desperately, as though he was kissing away every lie, every secret, every shadow that had ever stood between us. And I kissed him back, not as the girl who stumbled into a storm, but as the woman who had walked through fire and chosen him anyway. The kiss ended, but his hand stayed pressed against the small of my back, holding me as if I might vanish. His voice was hoarse when he finally spoke. I swore I would never let anyone into my darkness. And then you came, burning brighter than the sun. And now I can't imagine the dark without you in it. Tears burned my eyes, but they were not the tears of fear or betrayal. They were tears of something stronger, something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. We stayed there until the dawn began to creep across the horizon, spilling pale light into the ruined cabin. The ashes had cooled. The silence felt less heavy. The storm was gone, but I knew peace wouldn't last. The world had shifted. The others would come. They would smell the death of one of their own. They would feel the flare of my power, the bloodline I had awakened, and they would hunt us. Yet when Lucian helped me to my feet, his arms steady around me despite his wounds, I didn't feel hunted. I felt alive. Outside, the forest stretched endless and wild, bathed in a fragile dawn. The air was cold, sharp, filled with the scent of pine and smoke. Lucian glanced at me, his jaw tight, as if waiting for me to break, to turn back, to regret. Instead, I reached for his hand. "We don't run," I said quietly. "We fight." Together, his golden eyes softened, and for the first time since I had met him, I saw him truly smile. Not the bitter smile of a cursed man, but the raw, unguarded smile of someone who had found something worth living for. We walked into the woods, leaving the ruins of the cabin behind us. Every step was a promise. Every heartbeat was a vow. I didn't know what lay ahead, war, fire, blood, but I knew this: I had been broken, haunted and alone for so long that I had forgotten what it meant to belong. And then a demon with golden eyes had saved me, not just from the monsters outside, but from the shadows inside myself. Love had not been my salvation. It had been my rebellion, my fire, my forbidden destiny. And as Lucian's hand tightened around mine, I knew that whatever fate demanded of us, we would burn through it together. Because sometimes the soul doesn't need saving. Sometimes it needs someone willing to walk into the fire with you. And I had found him,